I'm a senior nutrition, dietetics, and wellness major at NIU. I have a couple plans in line for what I want to do, but I won't bore you guys with that.
My name is Thomas Malia. I'm a senior at NIU for nutrition and dietetics. I actually started studying nutrition when I started competing in MMA, and that's kind of just what led me to be here today.
I'm Ashley. I'm also a senior, and I'm graduating in May, and I'm going to be moving on to grad school for nutrition.
And today we want to talk to you guys about cardiovascular disease and the risk factors associated with it in terms of emergency personnel. So cardiovascular disease, or CVD, is a group of diseases or disorders that affects the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system is made up of your heart, veins, arteries, and lungs. And things such as high or low blood pressure, abnormal heartbeats, high cholesterol, heart attack, stroke are all considered cardiovascular diseases. And research has shown that emergency workers are actually at a very high risk of being diagnosed and experiencing symptoms of cardiovascular disease. And it's actually a higher risk than the rest of the population. And some research has shown that actually the leading cause of on-duty death among firefighters and emergency workers actually comes from cardiovascular disease. One survey showed that it pooled a bunch of different firehouses in the Midwest, showed that 50% of the on-duty deaths for volunteer firefighters is caused by CVD. 39% of on-duty deaths for firefighters is caused by CVD who are full-time, and this accounts for 45% of all on-duty firefighter deaths in the entire United States. Along with cardiovascular disease, there are certain risk factors where if you fall into any of these categories, your risk for getting diagnosed with cardiovascular disease goes up. So some of the non-modifiable risk factors, which are things you can't really change, are age, your gender, your family history. So if a family member has been diagnosed with it, you're more likely to have it, and your ethnicity. Some of the modifiable risk factors or lifestyle risk factors that increase your likelihood of being diagnosed with cardiovascular disease are things like excessive smoking, having a poor and unbalanced diet, binge drinking, a lack of physical activity, and carrying extra weight or being overweight or obese.
So the next slides we're going to talk about are the surveys that we got in from you guys. We got 23 surveys. I'm going to have Ashley start with.
So age is a non-modifiable risk factor, obviously, because you can't change your age. But as your age increases, the likelihood of being diagnosed with a cardiovascular disease also increases. So it's important that you want to work on your modifiable ones so that your non-modifiable ones, so it decreases. And then ethnicity, so there's health disparities with different ethnicities. So like research shows that African Americans and non-white Hispanic Latino cultures are more susceptible to the risk associated with CVD. And then if any of your family members have been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease, your chances increases greatly. And also if you have another chronic disease already, such as like diabetes, your chances of getting the CVD increases greatly.
So in this survey question we asked you which category would you classify as, which weight category would you classify as. A little under half of you said normal weight, along with a little half of you saying underweight, and a slight majority said obese. Being overweight or obese puts you at more stress on your cardiovascular system and makes you more prone to high blood pressure, stroke, and heart attacks. Overweight and obesity risk factors are based off your BMI, or body mass index score, which is your weight in kilograms and height in meter divided by your height in meters squared. The next The next question we asked in your survey was how many days a week do you exercise? This could be a little off because as firefighters, you tend to maybe not include your when you go out and help others as exercise. Research has shown that a sedentary lifestyle increases your risk for CVD, and a sedentary lifestyle can cause weight gain or even further increase, which will even further increase your risk for CVD. So I found this interesting because stress is an important role of what we go through in high school and in college. So stress is really important for me on ways to find stress relievers. So it would have been interesting as a follow-up question to ask you how you guys relieve your stress or deal with your stress. Stress can actually cause damage to your cells in oxidative form. This forces your cells to work harder and less efficiently, which then could cause an increase in cardiovascular disease. How often do you smoke is the next question we asked, which a good majority of you don't smoke at all or don't smoke as much. Smoking causes 1 in every 3 deaths of CVD. Smoking raises your triglycerides, which is a type of fat in your blood. Smoking also lowers your LDL, which is the good, or lowers your HDL, which is your good proteins, cholesterol proteins. Smoking can damage your cells. That can damage your cells. The blood vessel that line the blood vessels, increase the buildup of plaque and cause thickening and narrowing of the blood cells. The next question was, are you exposed to secondhand smoke by any family members? Secondhand smoke increases your risk of CVD by 20 to 30%, and as firefighters, you have an increased risk of secondhand smoke just from going out to fire calls. Studies showed firefighters who have worked 10 years have 22 to 24% increase in mortality of CVD compared to a person with no smoke exposure. After 20 years as a firefighter, the risk increases to 25 to 39%. How often do you drink? Drinking too much alcohol can raise the levels of the fats in your blood. Drinking can lead to high blood pressure, heart failure, and increased caloric intake, which can lead to obesity. Excessive drinking and binge drinking can also lead to an increased risk of stroke. How would you rate your sodium intake? Over half of the percentage said that they would rate their sodium intake as moderate. 9 in 10 adults consume too much sodium. Excessive levels of sodium intake may increase your risks of stroke, heart disease, and enlarged heart. Average Americans consume about 3,400 milligrams of sodium, and the American Heart Association suggests that for ideal heart health is 1,500 milligrams. How often do you guys eat fast food? Is the next question that we asked. A large majority of you said that you don't eat fast food or you rarely eat fast food a week. Fast food is typically very high in saturated, unhealthy fats and sodium. A diet high in both these nutrients will cause weight gain and increase your risk of cardiovascular disease.
So now that you guys know what the modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors are, if you fall into any of these categories, even if it's just one of them, you are at an increased risk for CVD. And as we talked about earlier, that's the leading cause of death of on-duty firefighters. And so we want to try and help you guys reduce any risk of cardiovascular disease. So the one way to do this is to I can't remember who the quote is from, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it's better to prevent something from happening than trying to like reverse the effects of it. So a diet that is heart healthy, which includes lots of whole grains, so stuff from like whole wheat bread, brown rice, high in fiber. The best way to get fiber is leafy greens, and again, whole grains are also high in fiber. Vitamins from fruits and vegetables, the best way to do this is to just eat the rainbow. Each different fruit or vegetable, the different colors associate with a different vitamin that particular food is higher in. And then healthy fats. Healthy fats are things such as avocados. It's called unsaturated fats, where they are liquid at room temperature. So stuff like oils, those are actually healthy fats, and consumed in moderation can actually improve your overall health. And then you want to try to avoid added sugars, overly processed foods. Anything that's got like high fructose corn syrup is definitely a no. Avoid adding salt to your food. Salt already comes in a lot of processed food. They add it as a preservative, and so you might not realize that, say, like a can of soup is extremely high in sodium because they use it as a preservative. And then unhealthy lifestyle behaviors such as excessive smoking, binge drinking, or leading a sedentary lifestyle are all things that can be switched in order to decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease. And for exercise, it might seem like a lot, but you really only have to do 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and this is sufficient exercise to help decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease. And I know you guys said you have a gym like located in here. Even if you can only get in there for 5-10 minutes on the treadmill, the elliptical, just doing some type of lifting, stretching, even yoga, any type of physical activity beyond your normal schedule will make at least a little bit of a difference in your overall health.
It can also be a good stress reliever too.
And so now that you guys know like what the risk factors are, how to change them, we want to help you guys set goals to be able to change something about your individual lifestyle, like even if it's something small, in order to decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease. The best way to do it is just set a goal, stick to it, and once you accomplish that goal, start a new one. But the goal should be something personal to you. Like if it's like not everyone's going to have the exact same goal of, oh yeah, I just want to lose weight. Like it should be something that is what we would call a SMART objective.
So one thing that I found interesting when I was talking to Fire Chief McMaster, I asked him if I could see your guys' kitchen. I also asked him if you guys had happened to eat any meals together, and he said that you at least try to eat one meal together each shift. So I thought for a good activity for you guys would be to make a goal on like trying to make your meal together healthier, and Ashley can go over like what the SMART goal acronym means.
So it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So it's really important that you want to set like a time frame and know like when you want to achieve the goal, and make sure that it's realistic and that it's actually not something like too hard to obtain. So an example of a short-term one would be this week I will run for at least 30 minutes 3 days a week this week to reduce my risk for CVD. And then, so a long-term goal would be within the next year, I want to lower my BMI to get within a healthy range for my age.
You can kind of see like each of the acronyms for the SMART objectives are in there. You know, it's specific in what you want to do. The time frame is there, like this week I want to do this. It's measurable, so you're able to measure if you're doing that 30 minutes exercise a day. It's easily achievable because it's just, like I said, it's just 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. That's not something that's outside the ordinary. It's not like you're trying to run a marathon at the end of the week. And it's relevant because you're doing this in order to cause some sort of change in your own life where it's going to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease for you.
Also, in the packets that I handed out, there's a worksheet. We're gonna split up into 2 groups, and one group is gonna do a short-term goal that you guys can make for your shift, and then one group is gonna go over doing a long-term goal. And while you're working on that, I brought heart healthy salsa and heart healthy guacamole for you guys to try.
So you just want to do it, the 2 front rows can turn around and work with each other, and then the 2 back rows can work with each other.
Do you guys
And we'll be walking around if you guys have any questions on how to make these SMART objectives.
Put your eyes down so you see who's
Is this a long-term goal or are we doing a short-term goal?
We're doing short or long-term?
We'll have everyone in the front do a short term and in the back with a long term.
Sure.
That's a goal you can.
And the members of Shift 2, you have been a lovely host here. Thank you.
It's not over.
That's true. I'm leaving now.
Short-term goal.
Alright,
It's gotta be achievable, Phil.
so goal, what do we want as our overall goal?
So Pat wants to have a bench press 95 pounds
Overall healthy lifestyle?
by the end of the month.
Yes.
That's not short.
Bingo!
By the end of the week.
Okay, by tonight.
By
I'll
this
try to do it by tonight.
President mentioned.
He said 90.
helping them.
To make it
Sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get more than tonight.
I know.
Okay, so what exactly will we accomplish by doing an overall healthy lifestyle?
What exactly will you accomplish? You'll make a healthy meal.
How about make a
What
healthy
do we make it like? I don't want to say.
every night this week? Yeah.
You begin in diapers, right? When you don't have diarrhea.
Oh, you accomplish the goal. We'll go to the grocery store and buy
Good grocery shopping.
Right.
stuff.
It's good.
Goal is significant because it will create a pattern.
Quality of life.
Putting more people awareness.
If you're young, you don't have to worry about this shit yet.
Hey, Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps your teeth.
He's a dentist.
a big guacamole.
Don't give it a try.
You guys can serve your coffee.
Chiclets?
Just leaving it. They don't need
I also bought bean chips.
That's not a real
I got to have your chicken.
I had pop last night made out of like quinoa and rice.
Overall healthy lifestyle.
What do you want that?
Yeah, I like cauliflower pizza.
You want to increase
I'm not allowed to
increase the amount of
Yeah, something.
What do I do?
Like,
there's
once you have the goal, you need to
guacamole
figure out
salsa
what
for
step you want
Oh,
to
you
take
just
to
ordered
accomplish
yourself.
that.
I just want to
How will we accomplish this?
I had the highest
I wanna try
cholesterol
it.
of anybody ever.
When your cholesterol is 700.
Okay.
More exercise.
Put it in here?
Regular exercise.
Exercise at the other side.
Actually, I have to filter my blood.
So how do you put extra,
achievable?
Jeez, I put you
Yes.
Side. 3, 4 times
You
8.
can cheat off of me.
Okay.
Cover your ears.
I'm a graduate of
NIU. I am.
You
Something to look forward to. I know. Alumni 95. Dude.
Alright, so that's the fat kids coming in for some treats.
Vinny did it.
So I use no sodium added
Quality
tomato.
What?
I also didn't add salt.
What about, is there salty water? Is there right?
Yes.
Yes.
Really look at
So I added
labels.
Fresh vegetables. Hey Pat, why don't you tell her what you had for breakfast?
You don't want to. At least I
And
never
then
know
they're
it.
also
rainbow.
bean chips.
I had half of a donut.
And
Eat by color, that book, right? I like that, that's actually pretty good.
Which facilities had some of
Eat by
them?
color book.
They're actually like
Pretty good.
pretty good.
I used to probably say
I
more.
had
You had a
Breakfast?
You get an app.
I had a cupcake this morning.
They're like,
It's my son's birthday.
You're likely to living a longer and
Basically
healthy
like a-
lifestyle. You're gonna do this by increasing your exercise at least 3 times a week, as well as incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your diet, correct? That's perfect. That's a smart objective right there.
So, how will you know when you reach this goal?
Oh, we got goals.
I think you should
Still
be
alive
talking to
at
another
3.
shift, to be honest.
Yeah, shift three,
Take
it back tomorrow.
We actually do a pretty good job.
Maybe the wrong shift.
we probably do the best, but we're just
I could always.
That's my.
Parameters.
I'm sorry.
So, okay. Specific goal is to make a healthy meal throughout the week. So 5 days. 5 days.
Yeah, start today.
Starting
I don't know how
today.
some guys do it. Do what?
And then is it measurable?
Sit in the chair and take like a 20 minute
Yeah,
break.
we do it. It's
So what is
measurable.
it?
Really good, why?
That's-
No, that's
No, that's right.
Oh, okay, that's.
My hands are real running. You did a pretty good job with that.
Achievable by just watching go to all these buy this great healthy groceries.
Like mid-sentence too.
Oh, he had to watch this, he rewind it.
You did, you
Over time. And when will we achieve this week?
Right now.
Okay.
Glad you did my commitment there, now do yours.
Alright, so let's, we have to go over what their goal is.
Yeah.
If you got the resources to achieve this goal, yes, minus.
I don't know, I need to.
Alright guys, so both groups were able to make a SMART objective. Does anyone want to, from the back, want to share your long-term SMART objective?
And me?
He's still writing his book.
What? Alright. So, long term, we decided our goal would be an overall healthy lifestyle. What exactly will you accomplish? Well, first we went the route of what we want to accomplish, which is a longer lifespan, less stress, healthier heart, better quality of life. By doing so, exercise 3 to 4 times a week minimum. 6 to 7 hours of quality sleep when you're not here. When you're here, get every chance you can. Fresh veggies in every meal. Track your caloric intake and your overall nutrition with like an app or something like that, which would also then lower your BMI. Just because you're losing weight, but losing it smartly. I mean, if you're losing weight but you're also building muscle mass, you might not have the lower number as far as weight loss, but your quality of life's gonna be better. Let's see here. How will you know when you achieved it or reach this goal? If you have good vitals and doctor checkups, when you are feeling you get less sleep deprived and more refreshed, I guess you'd say, when you wake up in the morning, and you outlive the expectations based on your earlier lifestyle compared to the lifestyle that you achieved. Is achieving this goal realistic with effort and commitment? Yes. And do we have the resources to achieve this goal? Yes. And if not, get off your ass and do it. Why is this goal significant in your life? Well, just an overall quality of life is better. And you got to think long term as far as any of us have kids or maybe down the road grandkids and stuff like that. So that's why it's significant. And when we achieve this goal, I mean, it's not. You can think long term, but you can also think short term with this one. You achieve it just by an overall everyday lifestyle that you just are starting to feel better. You're starting to feel healthier. Little pep in your step. And more energy, like you need it.
And just
Like
kind
I
of,
do.
Did you really write all that stuff down?
Yeah.
just to kind of build off what he said too, those are all excellent goals. That's a perfect SMART objective. Not every change needs to be made immediately. So you don't need to go completely cold turkey on, like, say, yeah, like if you try and just completely switch in one day, you're most likely going to burn yourself out and be like, oh, this is terrible, I'm not doing this. So even if you just make like one small change a day, like once you accomplish that first small change, work on the next one and the next one, and then before you know it, you've accomplished your SMART goal. And then for the short-term group,
Huh?
You got a paper.
There you go.
We should have gone first.
Eat better.
Yeah.
Make a good dinner.
Healthy.
Read it slow.
I went to be better.
We said to make healthy dinner every night this week for a short-term goal, so you can start somewhere.
For real.
Huh?
What? Another guy.
Yes. Isn't that healthy?
You didn't interrupt yours, Pat. Come on.
That's your own stupidity.
We will achieve this goal through grocery store awareness and healthy ingredients.
Talk about that?
This label looks good.
Yeah, well, you gotta look. Yeah, you gotta look at the
Nobody
grocery stores. What's healthy? You know, some. You know, maybe not going to the Walmart. It is achievable. I don't know why you guys picked me.
I think they're wondering.
They did a fine job, Vinny. Keep going.
This is significant in all of our lives because we don't always make healthy meals, especially here. We like to eat nasty, fat foods, and that's because it tastes better. But yeah. And then when will you achieve this goal? Today.
This week.
We're gonna start today.
Right now.
Right about now.
Again, that was a perfect SMART goal. It was specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time gated.
See?
And that's also something that's going to bring you guys together, like camaraderie wise. Plus, cooking's fun. You know, it's fun to get around, cook a good meal, rib on each other, etc. So you guys did an excellent job in creating SMART objectives. Real quick, the the salsa and guacamole that we have up here, we were able to make that in 30 minutes or so, and we made sure not to have any added salt or anything. And the guacamole, it's made from avocados, which are actually considered one of the most healthy fats. So this is a perfectly healthy snack for you guys right there.
It's easy to make too. Both of the recipes only have 3 things for directions.
As long as you have a blender, you're able to make this.
Ooh, yes. Hey, Hart, the Giuseppe's. Put a lime in it, it's fruit.
Also,
you guys how to run your restaurant.
also in this packet that I sent out, there's a exit survey. If you could fill that out, it just has 7 questions. And then there's also some handouts on the effects of like excessive sodium, how to get your colors in through fruits and vegetables and different foods. It has every color and at least 10 to 15 different fruits and vegetables. And then on the last page, it's good sources of oils. How to get your good sources of oils in.
Now that you guys all know the risk factors associated with CBD, we hope we kind of gave you the tools to make the necessary changes in your own individual lifestyle to reduce your risk of CBD. Just stick to your goals, accomplish one, set a new one, and keep going from that. And like I said, even the smallest improvement can make all the difference when it comes to your health. And we just want to thank you guys. You guys do a lot for the community, and we wanted to help in some way. And so hopefully this is our small way of helping you guys better take care of the community. And so we just want to say thank you for your time, and thank you for the work that you guys do. And thank you for having us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.